Learning new languages in just 2 months is it possible or not? The answer is possible, but the answer can be a no depending on your expectation. So today I'd like to talk about if you want to learn Japanese because you want to have a connection with Japanese people in just 2 months. I can exactly promise you to make Japanese in just 2 months, and I can prove you how you can get it. So in 2024, there are tons of material are possible. When I learned English for the first time in my life as a native Japanese was 13 years old when I was a junior high school. I learned ABC alphabet and grammar, future tense, past tense, adjective, noun, and then tons of flashcard. I started hating learning English because just can't remember. I don't understand what they're saying. Even like ALT, English native teacher sometimes coming to our classroom, I really didn't understand what they're saying. I thought that learning English is impossible. And then a lot of actually native English speaker also. There are tons of people like Japanese anime or culture. Not really people speak Japanese fluently. They are just usually watching anime with the subtitle. But probably they cannot even speak with the native people just 1-2 minutes. So why language learning are so hard? And is it possible to make a result in just 2 months? So me, personally, I started learning English seriously when I was 30 because I left Japan. I started living in Europe because I just wanted to discover the world. Japan is the greatest country, super safe, people are so polite, nice, kind, and food are excellent. And then 4 seasons, you can enjoy winter to summer, and there's so much nice culture like anime to even transportation like a bullet train to even temple shrine, a Japanese mythology god, samurai, a lot of things going on in Japan. But it's, as a native Japanese, it's very standard. And then I got bored, lived in Japan, and then left Japan. So this time I really needed to learn a different language. English first. So when I was 30, I just didn't have much time and I need to work every day. And then I discovered this way to learn language in just 2 months. So right now, I'm quite confidently speak English and Greek and German. So I'm gonna actually share it with you step by step. And also here I'm teaching Japanese for 80 years every single day to the student from all over the world, even from age 70 to 30. They can get same result if they follow the structures. And also later in this video, you can enjoy my student results too. So I'm gonna a little bit explain from the beginning. So when I actually moved to Europe, I needed to work and then I couldn't speak English very much. So that's why I started teaching Japanese. In Japanese, a little broken English. I bought tons of textbooks like Genki book, Minna no Nihongo, and also JLPT proficiency test, N5, N4, N3, grammar textbook, vocabulary textbook, a lot of tons of actually flashcard. And I started teaching Japanese with this very common traditional way. And then I realized that they are really not speaking Japanese. Some actually, university student, they actually start passing JLPT N5 like a proficiency very beginner level. But in the real life, it's quite useless because nothing you can do with JLPT N5 because it's too low level. It's like an elementary school first year level. And then this actually JLPT N5 doesn't have any speaking training. So those students who I taught JLPT N5 like a very lower level of proficiency test, they can read just elementary school textbook, or they can actually read some elementary books like a children book. But they cannot even talk with native people, make friends. They cannot even understand what they're saying like normal native people, like, hey, what's up? Nani shiten no? This conversation also is very difficult. And as a teacher, I just felt, what's the point? so much effort. Even like JLPT N5, like the first elementary level of Japanese, they spend almost every single day 2-3 hours, 365 days, and then getting that so little result that it's kind of useless in the everyday life. And I felt this is a pointless. And I know it's a standard Japanese teacher is teaching like 20 years JLPT or JLPT N1. They can read the newspaper, but it's again, they can't speak Japanese. So I think what I understand after many years of teaching Japanese is 2024, still common language learning is this alphabet, vocabulary learning, and grammar textbook. And ending up, they don't speak Japanese or they don't speak even new language, like even the native English speaker learning Spanish, a native English speaker French. They don't learn second language very quickly. Japanese people, less than 10% of population can speak English fluently. So imagine native Japanese people, we learn 6 years in the junior high school, we don't speak English. I mean, so we are failing to learn English with this way, like alphabet, vocabulary, and grammar textbook. And then native English speaker also the same. Less than 20% of people can actually speak a second language. So I don't know you like Japanese anime or culture, but probably you don't speak Japanese fluently. And that's actually really common result in 2024. So what I wanted to say here is there is a way to be fluent. Very short time if you really specifically train yourself. So this actually 2 months result is all about your oral communication skills. Because I think it's a learning language itself. It's very hard if you really need to master the spelling. You know, like even the English spelling, like atmosphere, circumstances, those actually spelling is like a puzzle. It's super hard. And imagine Japanese language, we have almost 5,000 symbols, like characters. It's not even A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like 20 something. You know, we have 5,000 characters. The day you decided to learn Japanese and you actually start focusing on the spelling, I can guarantee you can't make a progress so much. You can just learn 100 characters out of 5,000 a year. Maybe. But then again, if you just know 100 characters, you probably can't do anything. Again, like you can just read elementary school book, but it's not practical. Most of the things in the whole world is document is for adults. You can't even go to Japan and read the character in the train station, or you cannot make a reservation in the hotel because you can't read the document. You cannot apply for the visa because you can't read the document. Ending up, you just need to use Google Translate. So it's so many actually effort you made, and again, you need to use Google Translate. That's actually the spelling learning. So my personal experience, by learning English, Greek, German, and right now, 2024, is not the best time to focus on the spelling first. Because now it's AI technology, it's amazing. I love computer, I love AI, and I use all documentation, which is like a Google Translate is amazing, DeepL is great, ChatGPT is great. There's so many actually technology is helping our documents. So that's why 2024, what is a valuable skill to have as a human is definitely communication skills. So this is actually 2 months learning technique. So in our school, Japan Language Factory, we call like 2 months learning technique. You're gonna become fluent in Japanese. We are actually focusing on this human communication skills. So forget about document, but you can actually make Japanese friends. You can have a Japanese even girlfriend. You can have a better relationship with your current Japanese wife, or even business networking. So it's all about the human communication. This is 2 months learning technique. So make sure I'm not guarantee you to learn 5,000 characters in 2 months. It's impossible, and you definitely need decades to master these Japanese characters. So worth or not, because as I mentioned, it's AI is helping. Me personally, in 2024 is the best time to focus on this human communication. And then you have a question. How can I learn new language without even reading and writing? I'm gonna answer you like this. How did you learn your mother tongue, mother language, without reading and writing? When you are a baby, how did you learn your native language without reading and writing? Which is, of course, we learn first language always without reading and writing. Because as I mentioned, the language learning itself, reading, writing is the hardest part. And then oral communication is even a baby can do, which is easiest part. This is the reason. If in 2024, if you bet your oral communication skill in Japanese, you can achieve in 2 months. Before showing our technique, exactly I'm gonna show you our student result. Our student is making actual result in fluency in just even after 6-8 hours. Not even 6-8 years. It's just a 6 hours of training. Check it out.
これは何ですか？
カシスと、あとオレンジジュースです。
そうなんですね。
はい。今、何飲んでるんですか？
ビール飲んでます。
ビール、いいですね。日本語、すごい上手ですね。
ありがとうございます。でも、まだまだ勉強中です。
そうなんですね。いや、頑張ってください。
ありがとうございます。名前は何ですか？
ショーノです。
So the first student that I want to introduce is George. So George started living in Japan at zero start, non-communication skills at all in Japanese. But he wanted to make a Japanese friend. He wanted to take this advantage of living in Japan. When you are living in Japan, of course, you want to expand your social circle, not just only hanging out with American people and then staying with only American people. That's you can do it in the States. Now, if you are living in Japan, of course, you want to make a social circle better in Japan. So that's why George take a decision to make actual friends in Japan. So right after 8 hours, he's already start speaking about himself. He can even compliment Japanese people too. That's so cool. The second student I want to introduce is Tom and Jess are a couple. So they are actually a couple living in Japan, and actually they are living years, and then they are just rely on the Google Translate all the time, and then now they decided to live in Japan almost forever. They want to start the business. They want to actually have an actual life in Japan, building a house, long-term life in Japan, and now they really need to build this communication skill in Japanese. Of course, if you're using Google Translate all the time, you can get around, but you're like always tourist and you can't be independent. You cannot even go to a doctor by yourself. You cannot even make a reservation. So that's why Tom, Jess, amazing couple, take a decision to really be more fluent. So that's why we started the restaurant conversation. Restaurant things is everyday things. Even if you're a tourist, you can actually still come into Japan. You just want to just order food in Japanese like a normal person. So that's what we actually practice. After 16 hours, now this is the result.
いらっしゃいませ。ご注文お決まりですか？
はい、おはようございます。ドリップコーヒー一つお願いします。
ドリップコーヒー。はい、かしこまりました。ホットですか？アイスですか？
ホットでお願いします。
はい、かしこまりました。サイズはどうされますか？
グランデでお願いします。
グランデで。はい、かしこまりました。
すいません。ブリビを追加でお願いします。2センチお願いします。
2センチで。はい、ブレベを。はい、かしこまりました。ありがとうございます。ご注文は以上でよろしいでしょうか？
サンドウィッチ3つお願いします。温めてもらえますか？
はい、かしこまりました。いらっしゃいませ。おはようございます。ご注文はお決まりですか？
おはようございます。ドリップコーヒー、グランデで、ホットで、2センチブレベをスイカでお願いします。
はい、かしこまりました。ドリップコーヒーの、ホットで、グランデで、ブレベを2センチ追加ですね。
はい。
はい、ありがとうございます。ご注文は以上でよろしいでしょうか？
はい。
お持ち帰りですか？
お持ち帰りです。お願いします。
お持ち帰り。はい、かしこまりました。お持ち帰り。はい。お会計は、500円になります。
That's so cool, right? The last student that I want to explain is about Maria. So Maria is actually just signing up Japan Language Factory level 3. She is so amazing. She's from Mexico and her long-term goal is to really have a freelancer job in Japan. She was actually a graphic designer, but this year she has a new target. She wants to have this animal communication certificate in Japan. She wants to start a new business and she wants to promote herself, and then the best life is a half in Mexico, half in Japan. So when you want to start something like new business or even new promotion, of course, you need to know the local language. You can't just promote in English everywhere in the world. In Japan is 120 million people speaks Japanese. Now she's gonna have this skill to really build a long-term life in Japan. So now she's in the middle of level 2 and she is getting this intermediate skill. Right after 46 hours, she's getting this intermediate skills.
そうですね。ミートアップはここは初めてなんですけど、他のミートアップは行ったことあります。
あ、
はい。
そうですね。
すごい楽しかったです。
よかった。
マリアさんは、出身はどちらですか？
メキシコ出身です。
そうなんですね。
はい、そうそう
メキシコ。いいですね。
はい、
メキシコ行ったことないです。
ぜひ
行きます。
行ってください。
はい、行きたいです。はい。ありがとうござい
楽しい
ます。
ことがあるので。
そうなんですね。あ
はい、
りがとうございます。マリアさん、日本語すごい上手ですね。
まだです。毎日頑張っています。
そうなんですね。どのぐらい日本に住んでるんですか？
今まで2年ぐらい。
まだ2年なんですね。なんで日本に来たんですか？
子供の時、初めて見たアニメが、ゼーラームーンで、ランマとか、ドラゴンボールとかも見て、あと、このアニメが日本のものなんだなって分かって、そこから日本に興味を持ち始めました。
そうなんですね。
はい。あと、本当に日本のいろんなことが大好きで、例えば文化とか、利便性とか、テクノロジーもすごい好きです。あとは、たくさん旅行して、国内旅行をたくさんして、綺麗な景色をもっと見て、美味しい食べ物をたくさん食べたい。
そうなんですね。
That's so cool, right? So here, first of all, I want to tell you that even if you're age 40 or 50, if you know the way to make your progress as quickly as possible, efficiently, because it's, as I mentioned, learning Japanese, it's almost impossible thing. It's a difficult language. If you just normally study, it takes forever. As I mentioned, it's not the time to really focus on your spelling. AI is helping. Here, you set the goal. That's actually key to make your progress in just 2 months. What do you want to do by learning Japanese, by speaking Japanese? Like Tom Jessa, I want to order the food and I want to build a life in Japan in the long term. I want to be a resident. Or George, I want to make a friends. Or like Maria, I want to start the business. Those motivation is the key because you don't need to spend unnecessary energy for unnecessary goal. Like I just want to read a textbook. I just want to read a newspaper. These unnecessary topics are useless, and also it taking so much time because it's just a random study. So in order to make your progress as quickly as possible, effectively, is to choose your target. What do you want to do by speaking Japanese? Please decide today. Otherwise, you're not gonna actually make any result because you're just following textbook. It doesn't really help you. Random conversation, random topics, taking so much time and no result. The second things I want you to do today is to focus on your listening and pronunciation skills. Because in the end of the day, if your pronunciation is not great, people will not understand you what you're saying. For example, when I start learning English, I really couldn't pronounce TH and S as a native Japanese. This is a really common mistake because Japanese language, we don't have TH pronunciation. So for example, I think is a right pronunciation, right? But it's most of native Japanese people pronounce I think. Think is a washing hand place, right? That's happened like all the word in TH, I thought something. But then Japanese people say I sort. So those things is like very common mistake. Native English speaker is tsu and chu. For example, 出身どこですか? 出 and つ 通信 communication. 出身 where you from to 通信 communication. Do you understand? Pronunciation is super important. And then it's millions of language learners are so bad at communication because they are really bad at pronunciation. And then Duolingo language apps, textbooks, just watching anime doesn't really help you your pronunciation. Pronunciation is the only you need is specific phonetic communication training, and then you can build better pronunciation. So when I start learning English, I really focus on my pronunciation. Otherwise, millions of study doesn't really work, and ending up people say to you, huh? What did you say? You know, like it's just communication doesn't work. So that's why please focus on your pronunciation. So the third thing is to practice this interaction conversation flow training. So my teaching method, I was, using so many textbook, and then I saw that the student is not communicating at all. In Japan Language Factory, as you see, like Maria, Tom, Jessa, George, amazing result they already getting right after just a few hours is because we do this conversation flow training. What is a conversation flow? Is simply you need interactive exercises like, hey, what's up? Oh yeah, I'm good. So then how can you do it in Japanese? あ、何してたの? 昨日ね、ちょっと疲れて寝てた. Like this back and forth interaction speedily is very important. That's the reason people doesn't answer anything because they don't do it. So if you really want to be fluent, you need these interactive exercises. Just watching flashcard not gonna help you. And this is not about your age, time, your motivation. It's the way you study. It doesn't work. And the way that it doesn't work even continuously next 10 years, it's gonna be waste your time. So that's why today you can change your life. Imagine if you are fluent in Japanese today, you can make friends. You're gonna have a better relationship. You can find a new job in Japan. You can find a new life in Japan. You can actually have an unlimited opportunity by speaking Japanese fluently. Please do not give up on your life. You can stuck in the States forever. That's the easiest things you can do it. But by learning a new language like Japanese, totally different life is waiting for you. But as I mentioned, the language learning itself is difficult. And learning Japanese is way difficult. And please focus how you spend the time because its life is limited. I'm 80 years old. I don't want to wait 10 years and still not really making any progress. What about you?